What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday. Today is February 1st, 2026, and welcome to today's weather update. If you're new to my channel, like and subscribe down below if you want to follow along. Alrighty, taking a look at the national weather picture in the United States, you can see things are much quieter today. That system that was over the Carolinas is moving to the east. It did dump a lot of snow and left behind some very cold air in the south. That's right. The cold air that has been stuck in the northeast for the longest period of time has now drifted its way even further south. Florida, extremely cold weather there. Look at this. Freeze warnings are up almost down to Miami. That's something you don't see too often. Here's something else you don't see too often. Winter weather advisories up for North Carolina. No, you're not going to see more snow, but the snow that you saw yesterday, last night, and ended this morning is still in place, and this is likely going to continue to cause issues over the next several days and maybe impact the morning rush hour tomorrow if you have to go to work. You may not be having work or school tomorrow, as southern systems tend to be. It takes a long time to clean up down there because they're not used to so much snow. Let's take a look at the national radar picture. We do have another weak system going through the central U.S. That's not going to do much. There will be another Clipper system behind it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Some wet weather in the Pacific Northwest. Mountain snows is a thing. I'm not terribly concerned about that. Let's take a look at the satellite picture. Look at this. You can see the East Coast has cleared up, but you can also see something else. Look really close. Yes, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, portions of Tennessee, Kentucky, and beyond. That is snow cover that we're seeing. And here on the right of this loop, you can see there is that storm system that is exiting. It is a very powerful storm system. If it had come up the coast, it would have been a real doozy of a storm. But guess what? It did not come up the coast. Taking a look at the central region, we can see here, things aren't terribly active, just that weak system. And then we do have on the Pacific Northwest a system there that is, again, providing some rain and mountain snows. Here is that total snowfall in the Carolinas. There were some areas that saw anywhere between 12 to 16 inches of snow. This was your biggest snowstorm in the last 15 to maybe even 25 years. Yes, it really was a big snowstorm. While everywhere up north, here's what happened. I grabbed this picture last night. I saw the moon. Yes, all these people who posted on social media, all these model images for a week. Oh, this model shows that. This model shows this. Oh, it's going to come up 95. Well, guess what? I was able to see the moon last night. Why? Because the storm hit the Carolinas and then it went to a right turn. Yes, it went out to sea. It did not come up the coast. So once again, all the hype of social media was just that. It was hype that never actually happened because they were showing one run of a model that was likely not going to be right. The GFS, this model, that model. That's why you don't do that. All right, moving on. Tomorrow is a special day in the weather world. It is known as Groundhog Day in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Hey, my state. That's right, Punxsutawney Phil will come out tomorrow. If the groundhog sees its shadow, winter will last 6 more weeks. If the groundhog doesn't see its shadow, spring will arrive early. Tell me, what are you rooting for? Are you rooting for 6 more weeks of winter, or are you rooting for an early spring? I think a lot of people want an early spring, but I got to be honest with you. Whether or not he sees his shadow tomorrow, the weather's going to do what the weather's going to do. This is not an actual prediction of what's ahead. Even if he predicts an early spring, we very well could still see winter last. In fact, some indications are February is going to be cold in the eastern United States. Speaking of cold, for some people it has been oh so cold. Well, for many places, but for some you've been faring off worse. That power outage map that we like to take a look at, 140,745 people still without power. I want to draw your attention to Mississippi. Yeah, not a good thing there. In fact, I think we can zoom in on Mississippi. There are still a lot of people without power in Mississippi from the storm that happened last weekend. Yeah, 53,710 people still just do not have power there. That was a doozy of a storm, and not good. Moving on, we got to take a look at this. All right, as you can see here, there's the storm that's going to exit. This is from the Weather Prediction Center. That storm will exit, but then we have to keep our eyes on Tuesday into Wednesday. There will be this Clipper system, and it may cause some mischief because of the timing of the system. Yeah, it may time itself for some of the rush hours in the Mid-Atlantic region. Let's take a look at the winter storm impact scale. But before we do that, there's also another clipper system that could come Friday. That's really the big weather maker for this week. We're not talking big storms. We're talking these minor storms that may cause problems. Taking a look here at the impact scale from the National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center. And we can see for wintry weather, there is at least a minor threat of impacts across the Ohio Valley Tuesday evening. And then again on Wednesday morning, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, we see the probabilities here anywhere from 20 to 30% at this time. Now, it's not great, but it's enough that I think we may see these percentages go up a little bit as we get closer, and we could see a coating to 2 inches of snow in some places. Now, let's advance this even further, and let's come out to Friday and take a look at this. Yes, on Friday, this is 3 p.m. Friday, we're seeing there's much greater risk for some minor winter impacts. And you can see the Ohio Valley, the western Pennsylvania. Hey, those are pretty high probabilities for this far out. A front with a clipper is going to move through. Whether or not that clipper redevelops, that remains to be seen. I don't think at this point it's really going to redevelop for the Mid-Atlantic region. If it does, it's going to be further to the north. And the main thing with that is big winds and, well, yes, like it or not, more cold weather. All right, let's take a look at the NAM model, shall we? And we can see here on the NAM, here's that weak system that's in the Midwest right now. Yeah, some snow showers are possible tomorrow morning, or flurries in Chicago tomorrow morning. But then draw your attention behind that. There's another system there in the northern plains. Also note more wet weather tomorrow evening in the Pacific Northwest. This system, it's a clipper system, it's going to dive into the Ohio Valley. You can see Cincinnati, Louisville, Kentucky. You do get some snow out of this, a coating to 2 inches. Cannot be ruled out with this system. We also see as we head into Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, it starts to enter Washington, D.C. So first thing Wednesday morning, Washington, Baltimore. Pay attention. You may have some troubles for your rush hour. Yes, that's something we're going to have to keep our eyes on. Maybe even Philadelphia, there's some discrepancy in the models, how far north this heavier, we should say steadier period of snow gets. We'll have to keep our eyes on it. I've seen these systems before. Sometimes they do cause mischief, and given how cold it's been, this could cause problems. Let's take a look at the latest 12Z European, and we're going to go out further with the European to also include the Friday system. The European, there it is. It's not very impressive on Euro, much less impressive than the NAM. I think this is going to be something the mesoscale models do better with. Sometimes the Euro does not pick up the precipitation and moisture as well with these tiny clipper systems. And this system will clear its way as we get into Wednesday afternoon. Really, we're looking at a little bit of a warmer-up this week. We will see some of the big cities, maybe New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, D.C. Yes, you could get a few degrees above freezing. It's going to melt some of this snow that we have out there. It's not going to melt all of it. There's still going to be a lot of snow and ice that hangs on, but at least it will melt some. And the roads, I'm promising you, the roads will get a little bit better, depending on what happens with this clipper system in the Mid-Atlantic. Florida, you may see a warm-up for a period of time this week as well, which that's going to be very good. Just got to get through the rest of today, tomorrow, and we'll say Tuesday as well. Then you will start to warm up. But look what happens on the European as we get later in the week. Yeah, there comes another clipper system. Remember what we showed you on the winter storm impact scale from the Weather Prediction Center? There it goes, right over Pennsylvania and portions of New England. Whether or not that redevelops remains to be seen. And if it does redevelop, that's going to be pretty far to the north. But we'll have to watch it. Things can change. That is several days away. Also note, at the end of the week, as we get into Saturday, we do see a pretty significant storm system is being detected by the European for the Pacific Northwest. That's one I'm going to keep my eyes on. Oftentimes, because these systems are out in the Pacific where there really isn't a lot of data, these systems tend to trend stronger. And this could be the start of several systems. You can see here, as I advance this, it does get California into the picture and so on. So that's something we're going to have to keep our eyes on. That could be a multi-day event. Could even mean some mountain snows, which some places do need the mountain snows, especially the ski resorts. Behind that, well, we're not looking at a very active pattern on the European, but what we are looking at is there's going to be very cold air once again in the Northeast. In order for me to show you that, let's go over to the European ensemble. Take a look at this. This is next Saturday. Now you can see above average temperatures in the West Coast. We're going to have that active pattern that sets up there, probably Central California on northward. And look at the east. Very cold weather once again across portions of the mid-Atlantic, Northeast, below average temperatures even down in Florida. The Climate Prediction Center has been predicting this. They continue to predict this. Let's take a look at what they are forecasting. 6 to 10 day outlook. Pretty much anywhere east of the Mississippi below average temperatures, with the heart of that being over the Northeast. Precipitation will be below average for most areas, slightly above average up there in the northern plains. That's because of these clipper systems. And you can see here, they're even going with below average in the Pacific Northwest. I don't know if I agree with that. 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. While below average temperatures continue in the east, while it will be above average in the west, then you can see at that point, precipitation does go above average out there in the plains and the west. Yeah, I think there's going to be a warm-up somewhere in this area. And with that warm-up, I think it's going to be an unsettled warm-up. And taking a look at the east, below average precipitation. But honestly, I think with the cold that's coming, we can't rule out some more snow threats throughout the month of February. Alrighty, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's update. Tomorrow will be another short video. We'll probably do a full video either on Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll have to keep an eye on that clipper system. If need be, we'll do a full video on Tuesday to cover that clipper system and the clipper system on Friday. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below. Hit the notification bell. Share this video with anyone you know. Leave your comments down below. Let me know. Do you want the groundhog to see his shadow or not see his shadow? In tomorrow's short that we will do, we'll let you know if the groundhog saw his shadow or not. Alrighty, I will see you again next time. Until I see you again next time, have a fantastic Sunday afternoon. Thanks for watching.